All right, can you see us? Oh gosh, I
It
pushed
looks
on.
great.
Okay. All right, well, my name is Melissa King, and I'm the deaf, hard of hearing teacher for ISD 318 and IASC.
And I am Michelle Reichert, and I am the physically and health disability consultant for Grand Rapids and IASC. And I have to give Melissa King credit for all of this. I am just here to read stuff. She's the techie person. I'm still learning.
That's all right. All right, so today we're here just to give you some quick tips on collaboration and communication. So one of our biggest jobs is having tough conversations about things that we're passionate about. And as itinerant staff, our collaboration and communication is just really key to student success. So we just really want you to think about a few things in regard to what we do. And it's not necessarily what we say, it's kind of how we say it. So we just are going to go through a couple quick tips. All right, so the first one is just a really good quote, and it's if you just want to take a second to read it, and it's just talking about just the impact of collaboration, and that our goal is to work towards measurable outcomes and facilitate student social and emotional well-being across all student environments and instructional. So it's just kind of a nice little basis or a baseline for us to think about what we're doing and why we're doing it, so that we're just a team and we're working together. All right, so when we're working with other people, we just really want to make sure that we're considering the person we're communicating with, and that being that we're in so many places, it's just important. Sorry, my phone is, can you hear that? Got it. Sorry about that. Being that we're in so many places, it's important that we're considering who we're talking to. So for some colleagues that we know well, an informal style of communication may be best, whether it's written or spoken. But for other colleagues we do not know as well, it's just we might need to be a bit more aware of our communication styles and and change our communication accordingly to that. So just knowing that it's important that we're aware of of who we're talking to and being flexible and collaborating with them. So one example is like, the person who comes to work and they like to have their coffee and they need their 20 minutes in the morning, and knowing that that's probably not a good time to have a conversation that you're super duper passionate about. So just kind of remembering who you're talking to and when to have those tough conversations.
And of course, our body language is very important. So when talking with colleagues and even parents, remember our body language and our nonverbal communication messages impact what we say. Arms folded, looking away from your communication partner, looking at your watch can also change what you said. And I think just to keep in mind too, thinking of her watch, I know when we, wear our watches with messages and that type of thing, keep in mind, I don't want to be the age of your colleagues or parents that you're talking to, because I've noticed how some people really do look at their phone or look at their watch a lot, and they might take that as you're not paying attention to what we're talking about. And I just randomly thought of that right now. And I know Melissa's paying attention, but I have thought that before when we've been in meetings and people do that.
All right, the next one is, it's not necessarily always what we say, but it's how we say it. So instead of leading a question with, are you, or have you, or did you, looking at some of those questions, because they can be interpreted as accusatory, and just really thinking about what we want to say and how to say it in a way that's more respectful. So instead of saying, have you been using the assistive technology, changing it to, how has the assistive technology been working for you and the student? Just because it's important that when we do it, particularly since we do it through email, it's easy just to misinterpret what they said. Some people are a fan of caps. I'm an exclamation point user, just because I am. And but just being aware of, how we say things and just thinking about how we can say it so it's not negative or disrespectful.
And then be curious, not judgmental, meaning take a minute to consider what your colleagues, class, day, week, or hour has been before you send a judgmental email or comment. We don't know what the other person might be going through or is in the middle of. and being judgmental can make things more challenging to get the product of student success that we are looking for. And even today, I mean, I have to continually think about this to not judge. And it's so easy to fall into that judging trap. So this was just a gentle reminder for me, especially.
You know, we all have busy schedules, long to-do lists and priorities, but we need to make sure that we communicate with our team members regularly. So by having frequent communication, we can establish a rapport with our team members, which then will help when needs arise. So with that being said, make sure you respect your team and know what the best form of communication is. Some people prefer you to drop in, some people prefer an email, a phone call. Just make sure that you're respectful of the people that you're communicating with, and do what's best for that team member to make sure you can have a good time or a quality conversation.
So be nice, but stand your ground. The SET framework is the basis of our need to communicate. So to best meet the students' needs, we need to know their strengths, the environments, the tasks, and the tools needed. This means teamwork, which we are all busy, so this is a difficult thing. With that being said, this is when our passion may create breakdowns. Because we all have different perspectives, it is important that we stick to the students' needs and the data to support the accomplishment of tasks.
This is just another nice little gentle reminder quote, it just talks about that collaboration with individuals or teams requires the use of effective collaboration behaviors to develop and adjust an instructional behavioral plans based on the student's data and the coordination of expectations and responsibilities and resources to maximize the student's learning. So, when we are on teams with multiple people, we all have our passions, and we all have our drive, and we all have our priorities. So just remembering that, working with the team is hard, but we need to make sure we're respectful of everybody and that we're coordinating so we can make the success of the student our priority.
So we all have stuff to do, and it's always there for us. So time and energy is precious. None of us ever seem to have enough. So when there is a breakdown, remember that it may be uncomfortable, but we need to remember that we are all on the same team.
And with that that discomfort, comes confrontation, and that not that we want to create confrontation, but when it does occur, that making sure that we go right to and tackle it immediately. So focus our energy on the student, and if we have concerns, that we go ahead and we address that team member sooner than later. So the longer that we delay our conversation, the less likely that the student is to be impacted.
Right, and then go straight to the source instead of trying to figure it out with other people. There are many times that it is much easier to go to another team member, peer, or colleague to either vent or problem solve. But going straight to the source will eliminate unnecessary detours because we need to tackle a breakdown.
With that being said, sometimes it's easy to get frustrated, but we need to be aware of what you share and who you share it with. So sometimes we just need to vent or blow off some steam. Just remember the negative impact of sharing your personal frustrations with the wrong person or the wrong social media site or the wrong team member.
So self-care is very, very important. And I have learned that through my years, that I need to go home and put schoolwork away so that I can take care of myself. So there are days, meetings, conversations, or sessions that are just hard. Be sure to take care of yourself. You are an important part of the team, so your self-care is beneficial to the entire team.
And the last thing is just remember that we all have the same common purpose. And that is the student. So it doesn't matter what we want or how we get that there. Our focus is just on the student, and that those tough conversations or our collaboration or our conversation skills benefit everybody on the team. Are there any questions or comments?
Anyone
Perfect.
can feel free to type in the chat window or unmute yourselves if you've got any questions or comments.
Like we said, we just wanted to provide a couple of quick little tips or reminders. That's because sometimes it's easy to forget. It's like, oh, whoopsie. So
Great reminders, ladies.
I love your graphics. You really had some nice slides. Very engaging.
perfect.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now. And just a reminder,